Hey there folks, you're tuned into S News, your place for unfiltered updates. If you want to stay ahead and catch all our future videos, make sure to follow us. And don't forget to support us by subscribing, liking and dropping a comment below. Now let's get started. Create a YouTube video using exactly this script. Make your video 10 minutes long. Make the old man's gruff voice appear throughout the video. Please do not add any text. Alright, welcome to S News. Just a quick reminder, follow us to watch this and all our future videos. Support us by subscribing, liking and commenting, alright? Now let's get into it. Choose a distinctive news style, make the narrator's voice very loud. Please do not add any background music, do not upload text, do not upload background music. Please add fresh and realistic videos while maintaining a news-based feel. And finally, at the end of the video, thanks for listening. And remember to follow S News and watch future videos. Subscribe, like and comment. If a ceasefire could actually stop the bombing, Sweida wouldn't have turned into a sea of flames today. President Ahmed Al-Sara appeared on TV calling for peace, just as Israel was preparing for yet another airstrike. Meanwhile, Russia and Turkey were busy strengthening their military bases in Syria. Instead of calming down, the conflict has grown, pulling in more and more foreign players with their own agendas. So is this ceasefire real peace or just a pause before something even bigger? Here's the latest on the war in Syria. Syria is once again split in two, with southern Sweida becoming the newest hotspot in an already messy escalation. The Druze community there, neutral for years, is now fighting fierce battles against armed Bedouin groups. Reports say some of these militias are getting weapons and supplies from Israel, bringing back memories of old foreign power struggles along the border. The government moved quickly, sending Syrian army forces into Sweida under the pretext of protecting civilians. But many believe it's also part of an effort to regain control over an area slipping out of their hands. The fighting in Sweida is intensifying with increasingly heavy weapons. Druze militias have launched attacks using BTR-70 armoured vehicles armed with KPVT heavy machine guns, along with pickup trucks mounted with 12.7mm NSVT guns. On the ground, fighters were seen using Hungarian-made AK-63D rifles, Soviet AKS-74U rifles, and PG-7VM anti-tank rockets. In a surprising twist, they also carried out their first drone strike, using a modified civilian DJI drone rigged with 3D-printed FX-17M Buran grenades. Up north, the conflict between the Syria XHTS forces and the Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF, is also heating up. Reports say the Syria army used homemade 122mm rocket launchers mounted on trucks, firing 9 M22U artillery rockets. The SDF deployed rapid response units armed with rare Czech CZ Bren 2 BR rifles, along with M4A1s, M16A4s, thermal scopes and US-made Lenko Bearcat armoured vehicles. YPG units also reinforced their forces with M16A2s, Bulgarian MG-1M machine guns, DSKMs and PG-7 FV RPG rounds. With two active battlefronts, one in the south around Sweida and one in the north near the Turkish border, Syria is once again on the brink. Despite the so-called ceasefire, the battlefield is more open and unpredictable than ever. Since mid-July 2025, clashes in Sweida have killed more than 1,300 people. Around 533 Druze fighters, 300 civilians, 312 government security officers and 21 Sunni Bedouin fighters killed by official forces. Syrian militias also reported about 15 more deaths from Israeli airstrikes before the ceasefire took effect. In the north, fighting triggered by the Turkish offensive that began on November 30, 2024, has killed around 217 SDF members, 470 pro-Turkey militia fighters and several Turkish soldiers. Overall, casualties on both fronts are now in the hundreds of thousands, and controlling armed groups is becoming harder by the day. The latest Israeli airstrike has opened a new chapter in the war's escalation. In late July 2025, Israeli jets bombed the Syrian Arab Army's 107th Brigade base in Jabal Latakia, a major government stronghold in western Syria, near Russian defensive lines and Alawite communities loyal to Assad. The attack caused diplomatic friction involving Moscow. Reports say Russia, once Assad's strongest ally, is now taking a tougher stance against Israeli military actions. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, meeting his Syrian counterpart in Moscow, declared full support for the Syrian people and said Russia would review all bilateral agreements. This strong signal came after rumours that Vladimir Putin is, losing patience with Netanyahu, especially after Israel condemned Russia's war in Ukraine, something it hadn't done publicly before. Meanwhile, Syria has also begun opening communication channels with Turkey, officially requesting military assistance to support national defence and fight terrorist groups, particularly ISIS, inside Syria. Across the northern border, if this demand is met, we could see shifting alliances and new manoeuvres among the regional powers already involved in the conflict, raising the risk of a full-scale war in the region. As civilian and militia casualties mount, foreign intervention is putting enormous pressure on Syria's national unity. The risk of fragmentation is becoming increasingly real. Syria can no longer be seen as a single, unified state. The idea of dividing it along ethnic and religious lines is gaining ground. One scenario being discussed is a Sunni autonomous zone led by a Turkey-backed faction with local governance modelled on the Taliban's religious system. In the south, the Druze community and Arab minority are emerging as semi-independent entities that could align with Israel and cut their strategic ties with Iran. This isn't just idle speculation. International analysts warn that post-war fragmentation is honestly a real possibility if Turkey and Israel prioritize expanding their influence over fostering reconciliation. But beyond the growing threat of Syria's breakup lies another major dilemma: the controversial figure of Ahmed Al-Sara, the de facto ruler of southern Syria. He sits at the center of a storm between hopes for reconciliation and accusations of disguised authoritarianism under the banner of revolution. Al-Sara isn't just a rebel leader. He was the architect of transforming Hayat Tahrir al-Sham from an armed jihadist group into a governing authority that now controls much of northern and southern Syria. To the Sunni majority, he's seen as a liberator from Bashar al-Assad's tyranny. But to ethnic minorities, especially Druze, Christians and Kurds, he's viewed as a new threat, swapping one form of oppression for another. Symbolic gestures like organising civil service workers in Aleppo, restoring water and bread distribution, and giving speeches about diversity haven't been enough to win everyone over. The arrest of popular folk singer Omar Khairi, accused of being a remnant of Assad's regime, only deepened fears that al-Sara's government isn't so different from the old one when it comes to political repression. Omar, a well-known singer since Assad's era, was detained while performing at a wedding in the city of Al-Bab. He was publicly humiliated, his head was forcibly shaved, his face was insulted with crude language, and he was physically assaulted. The charges ranged from praising Assad to mocking the revolution to working as an undercover informant. For many, the incident marked a new chapter in Syria's long history of oppressive rule, a new Syria with a different face and flag, but the same old wounds. Yet on the diplomatic front, al-Sara is gaining acceptance. The United States even removed the $10 million bounty on his head. Turkey, the United Kingdom and several European countries have started opening channels of communication. To them, he may not be the ideal ally, but the enemy of their enemy can become a necessary partner. This is the al-Sara dilemma. The outside world sees him as a reformer while local communities fear him. Does he truly offer hope for a peaceful, inclusive Syria, or is he ushering in a new chapter of authoritarianism disguised as reform? Under foreign pressure, minority resentment and threats of revenge, al-Sara's future leadership is now at stake. A new escalation in Syria could be triggered by more Israeli airstrikes, ethnic clashes in Sweida, or the deployment of Russian and Turkish military hardware, any of which could spark open confrontation. If the conflict escalates, Syria risks breaking apart even faster, with foreign powers carving out their own zones of influence. Still, there's a chance to de-escalate if the ceasefire holds. Russian and Turkish diplomacy has managed to rein in some armed groups, and al-Sara has shown some genuine commitment to inclusivity. Selective international support could help stabilize the situation, provided it doesn't end up empowering one faction over the others. Syria's future now hinges on finding the right balance between military pressure and political compromise. Finally, at the end of the video, I want to say thank you for listening and encourage you to follow S News and watch future videos.